Welcome to the Disruptor Network podcast.
Welcome back to the Disruptors Network podcast, and I have a great guest today that I'm really excited about. Iaquinta is someone I've met recently and I've known for years through fighting. I'm a big fighting fan. He was a finalist originally for Ultimate Fighter Season 15 and a UFC fighter ranked as high as number 4 in the world. If people have seen him, they know Al's fought major fights against all the names you know if you follow fighting at all. Not only did he fight, but he won a lot of those fights and he's competed at a very high level. During the time when Al had an injury, a few years back, he found real estate sales and investing. He soon realized this was with his mindset as a fighter that he could win in real estate, and he has. He's done amazing over the last few years, just building up his real estate portfolio and becoming an associate broker now at HomeSmart Premier Living in Long Island. So he's got a great story. He's still fighting. He's still selling real estate. He's doing everything kind of at once. And we're going to get into a little bit of what the fighter's mindset is and how that's helped him in life and what he's done to get to this point where he is as a champion fighter and as soon to be champion in real estate. So without further ado, here we have Iaquinta.
Ignition. Liftoff.
Welcome back to the Disruptors Network podcast. And I gave you an amazing intro, Al, but I'm just happy to see your face. I'm happy to have you on the podcast. And Al Iaquinta, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you again. Always good to see you.
So what's going on in the world right now for you in general? I know that you've had some big fights from some guys you trained with recently. I know you had PRP procedure on your knee recently. So what's going on in your world outside of the crazy real estate market at this moment?
Oh, what's going on in my world? I had the stem cell injections training. I'm doing some commentating stuff. Commentated the Ring of Combat Amateurs and the Ring of Combat Pro in Atlantic City. Some great fights down.
That's pretty cool.
At the Tropicana. Yeah, it's different for me to, I watch fights and I analyze them all the time, but this, try to project what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling to an audience is, it's good.
It's funny because I had this conversation with someone the other day. It was something about an NBA analyst, and he was a former player, and I was commentating, and they were scrutinizing what he said. But it's got to be hard for you as a fighter to commentate on fighters sometimes because, there's a code kind of, right? So how do you be honest, but you feel like you toe that line a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes it was funny. One of my teammates was fighting and I was commentating his fight.
Yeah. So that's hard.
He lost the decision.
Okay.
So I was just like, oh man. And then I caught myself and I was like, so it was subconscious. It was like, that's what I was feeling. So it definitely is tough to, but you want to be, but I pretty much, I don't really try to hide it when it's a teammate of mine. I kind of just say it and the audience knows and they get it. And the other person commentating is usually, pretty good about being more biased than me. And we laugh about it. We don't hide it like that. It's, it's good. Actually better. I think it would be a little more, it's a little more real, it's like you're watching it with me and him. And yeah,
I feel like, as of late, you're finding new ways to stay around the sport that doesn't involve you fighting every single day. You're training other people. You're commentating now. You're kind of in the gym. So is ultimately your goal to kind of be in the sport, but maybe not beat yourself up constantly over and over it?
Yeah. Well, I think the beat myself up part that's in the past. I definitely don't want to take any more punishment, but if I could help the people that helped me when I was fighting, that'd be great. And I think I have a lot of knowledge of the sport and everything. So it's good to be able to stay involved and give back if I can and help people that helped me. And it's really just great networking. There's just so many good people. I've met so many good people through the sport. That to constantly be doing that is awesome.
I read something this morning and you just said something that kind of triggered it in my brain. It was about, I don't know if you saw that Marion Barber, the Cowboys former running back, they found him dead in his apartment last night. Right. And I was reading something this morning that a lot of NFL players were talking about how they had seen him in trouble for years, whatever he was trouble. Do you see, I know fighting is that way, right? Do you see a lot of former fighters that don't have medical, they didn't do the thing that you did with your career? And I know what I know about you is you've been smart with your money and you've started other things, you've done other things. Do you see a lot of former fighters that are kind of just being, whether it's by UFC, whatever other leagues, just kind of being left to be out there on their own and are kind of struggling like that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough, but the one thing fighting does teach you is how to work hard, so if you can work hard and you can get through a tough training session, there's really, life after fighting, whatever comes your way, you're pretty good, in that aspect. But yeah, you don't get out unscathed. It's definitely,
Yeah,
it can
that's the thing,
definitely,
right?
it's the highs and the lows, and sometimes you get, you pay the price, but yeah, no, it's yeah,
Did you
I've been fortunate that I met the people that I met, and I put the money where I did to set myself up for the future.
did you start thinking about that at some point? Because you did say you have set yourself up for a second career, right? Like another career. Like, was there a moment that made you think of that? Was it an injury, or was it something that said, "Hey, look, I gotta figure something else out because this isn't gonna last forever"?
Yeah, I had a knee injury,
Okay.
and the doctors were like, "I don't know if you're gonna fight again if you have this surgery." And I had the surgery, and I had just sold the house. I had just bought a house. Excuse me.
Okay.
I bought my first house, and my friend's mother's my real estate agent, got me into real estate, and from there, well, it's funny because you probably heard this. You heard the whole story at the
Yeah,
Disruptors
yeah,
event,
yeah. When I saw
but
you speak, which was awesome, by the way.
but yeah, no, it was great. But yeah, so I was lucky that, I had this injury, and it was rough at the time, but it got me into real estate, and I'm blessed to be where I'm at now. I've met incredible people in the process, and yeah, it's been awesome.
I always say, like, athletes, and anybody who just even trains, you don't have to necessarily be an athlete, but anybody who kind of trains every single day, like, you have this consistency about it, a discipline about it that breeds success. Like, do you feel like that it was easy to transfer those skills into real estate? Like, that I just got up and do the same thing every single day, and I'll be successful that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's uh it's just the recipe for success. If you can do it in one thing, you could mimic it and do it in another. And I
Uh,
think I found, I found some, goal setting, stuff like that, writing a daily journal. And, I use that in my real estate business, and it helps me. Yeah, definitely.
what are you seeing? And the market's been crazy, obviously, for the last 2 years. But what are you starting to see? Are you starting to see a change in your market? I know you're in Long Island, you're in New York.
Yeah.
Are you starting to see a change now where it's slowing down, or it's leveling out, or there's more sellers or more buyers? Or how do you see it right now?
It seems to be still pretty strong. Seems to be buyer heavy.
I think so too.
I don't know if it's as crazy, but it's definitely still, uh, it's tough to buy.
Yeah.
It's good time to sell a house. And I think it's maybe a little bit more because people are getting in. They want to get in now before, in case these rates go up even more.
Yeah.
There's like the last fear of missing out. They're jumping on it now if they can, because who knows what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. And I try to tell people that. I was just actually looking at a stat that rent's gone up every single year, at least 8% since like 1980. And last year it was up like 20%, right? So even in the worst markets, and I went through the crash in 07, 08, like the people still bought and sold houses and they rented them and you still made money on them, right? So I think real estate more than ever now is kind of, as a long-term investment, is still a safe investment. Like, is that kind of where you've looked to invest a lot, like your money or your time or whatever it is on the future? Or is there other things you look at as far as investment purposes?
I've been just in real estate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always looking. I feel like for me to learn something else, I've been an agent for 6 years now. I'm getting, it takes a while and a lot of work to really get something down. And I still have a long ways to go, but I feel like if I was trying to do
Do a
too
million
many
things.
things,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to focus on just real estate. And I think real estate's super safe. I like the long-term rentals. I like the short-term rentals. I think it's a beautiful thing to put the money into an asset that pays you back, and not especially as an athlete, you get that lump sum of change after you fight, and you can very easily spend it. But if you hold off, one fight, two fights, buy a property, and then that property will pay you back forever. That's the way I was blessed to have seen people do it and kind of follow in their footsteps.
Yeah, because I think about that, it could be tempting because you get this lump sum of money and that's still money you have to pay taxes on. That's still money you have to do other things on. So like, if you're not smart with it, you really could put yourself in a bad spot financially.
Yeah, it's almost like holding off for one step. You know, if you can buy something now, you hold off. You buy a house. The house, you know, if you find a good house that returns good, and then that, you know, that'll pay for whatever you were gonna buy. So it's delaying it a little bit, but then forever you'll be set up pretty good, and it's a beautiful thing.
I went back a little bit and watched some of the, like, your old clips and your old fights before doing this, just to, like, and I've seen all of them, but just to kind of rehash it. And what I realized about you is that when decisions come out, no matter what fight it was, whether it was Khabib or Masvidal or whoever it was, like, you're like the same at the end of every fight. You're just like, I did the work. Like, you're not high, you're not low. You just kind of like, you have like this stone face on when your decision's coming out. And when I looked at it, it kind of amazed me. I'm like, yeah, like he's happy he got through it. He had a goal, he got through it. Like, but you never got too high or too low. Like, is that just how you are in general? Or, like, have you brought that into business? Is that just like your personality?
Well, I think maybe when they announced the decision, but like when I would get, I mean, yeah, I guess it's interesting. I never really thought about it like that.
Because I was just looking at your face, because even for the Masvidal fight where you won, you were just like, and even Khabib, you were kind of like joking, like, well, even the big fight you won, or even that fight that, you know, you went the distance with somebody that nobody goes the distance with. Like, you just kind of at the end of the fight, I feel like we're very like, all right, like, I did the work, it got done. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of like that in real estate too. At a closing, I'm kind of like, we got here, you know,
Yeah.
we did it. We get all the work is put in. It's kind of like a relief, you know, you're like excited. It's a unique emotion, something like that, something that builds over, you know, a training camp is like 8 weeks, 10 weeks sometimes. And it's really like a lifetime of work.
Yeah.
And then when you win, it's just, you know, all that pressure, all that dieting, everything, it just all hits you, you know,
At the end of it. Yeah.
I guess that's my reaction, is just to kind of be cool and be like, oh, you know, relax. And it's the same way with the closings, you know. I'm like, I'm so happy for the people that get it, you know, either have bought or sold, as long as they're happy. It's been a long process, and yeah, it's just you know, it's like, poof, you know, we did it.
It's done. Yeah. It's like, do you kind of, like, after that's finished, like after you accomplish something, somebody buys a house, or you buy a house, or you win a fight, or whatever happens, do you kind of just like the next day just get right back to work? Like, are you the kind of person that's just like routine every single day, or do you kind of take some time to chill?
I take some time to chill.
Yeah.
But it depends. Sometimes it'll go in phases, you know, but you definitely need to get away, you know.
Yeah.
Do something, get your mind off something. But I think it brings you back more focused. You take a little time off, you kind of like maybe take a step back, and then when you come back, you bounce 3 steps forward. You know, I think I need that. So there's some people that I know, Charles Weintraub, he seems like he doesn't stop
Ever, right?
ever.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just always going. And you know, I don't know if I mean, that he's crushing it. It's insane. I mean, I don't know. I'd be it'd take that, you know, that's, I mean, but it was kind of like the same thing as fighting. I gotta see what he's got to have a vice somewhere.
Something, right? Everybody's got something, right?
Yeah, right. What about you? Do you like to take time off?
You know what? I need my routine.
Yeah.
So like, I think if I do take time off when it happens, it takes me a couple of days just to get into the routine of not being in my routine. You know what I mean? Like, so I think like, and I think it's more that I just need the consistency of things every single day. Like, even with fitness, I think I'm more chasing the high every single day of how I feel afterwards than I love to exercise. No, I think I just love the high I feel after the end of exercising. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So I think that's kind of it more than anything. I need the consistency of things.
The getting out of the routine is tough. It is all about getting in a routine, you know, getting like that. You get like the once things started, and that snowball effect where it keeps going. And yeah.
Does yours stay the same? Basically, like, you don't have a fight coming up, but you still get up kind of and you'll do some sort of training every single day, no matter what. Like, how does your routine change now rather than when you were kind of like you were always training for the next fight?
That's the thing, is I was losing a little bit of my routine. When I had fights coming up, I would be at the gym at this time, that time. There's no waking up and sitting on your phone. It's like every second is dedicated, because you got to fight somebody.
Yeah.
So I was getting a little lazy. I was waking up a little later. The first half an hour of my day, maybe an hour of my day, I'm like just sitting on my phone. I'll check my emails, but then I'll look at Instagram and social.
Yeah.
I was like, this is horrible. So I hired a trainer, BMO Fit at Law MMA.
Okay.
He posts stuff all day, and I repost his stuff. Great workouts, and I do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 7 a.m. So I get my workouts in, then I get my day started.
Yes, somebody to keep you. You need somebody to keep you accountable. To just kind of I hear 100%. That. Yeah.
So I know I can't wake up and lollygag. I'm out the door to the gym, and my day started. I have to pack clothes and everything the night before. So when I wake up, I'm ready. I go, and that's it.
Do you have an office routine or a real estate routine every single day at this point, or every that you're doing most days that you're going through? I mean, probably now I'm assuming you're going through listings, either looking for your sellers or your buyers.
Yeah, I like going to the office. We got a lot of cool people at HomeSmart, but you don't want to be there. When you're there, I mean, you're not
working. Yeah.
You're not getting something done. So I look forward to the days when I just go to the office and we kind of just bullshit and talk about whatever, make some calls, stuff like this. But for the most part, you want to be out driving to listing appointments, taking out buyers, getting marketing material ready to go, stuff like that. You want to be out of the office doing things,
Yeah, it's funny because you're recognizable, obviously, especially where you're from at this point. Is that a good thing or a bad thing when you show up at houses sometimes? Like when you show up at houses with the buyer, is that sometimes, is it always a good thing, or is it not a good thing? Sometimes you're like, all right, I don't want these people to know who I am.
No, I think it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing. It creates a familiarity with the people. And if they're a fan, maybe you get my buyers a little, get them in there a little bit. You know what I mean? Whatever you can do to help the buyers out. If it benefits me. I mean, if they're a Kevin Lee fan, then we gotta I'm probably gonna just walk right out the door,
way, right?
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's all good. It's been great.
I think it probably makes people comfortable with your voice, at least. Like you show up like, oh, this guy's a nice guy. I like him. I don't like, whatever it is, but they kind of know who you are. And if they don't like you, you get a chance to kind of change their mind, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if most of the people that if they see me fight or anything, they know that I put in, to be able to do something like that, I put in a lot of work. And if I can do that, I can definitely help somebody buy or sell a house and it's really just, it's follow up. It's doing what you're supposed to do. It's always being focused. And that's what fighting's all about. So you taking that same thing over to real estate, people understand and they see the difference.
Yeah. And when I watched your presentation, you had like a fighter's mindset presentation at our conference, which was awesome. That a lot of the stuff you said really resonated with me, because I feel like I tell people all the time, I don't think it's anything necessarily special about me that has made me successful, except that I'm really just consistent every single day. And I kind of just always trying to push forward. So I have this thing I call the growth trap. I have a book coming out about it in 3 months. And a growth trap, basically how I define it is that, from when we're born to when we're like 18, right? We get bigger, we get stronger, we get smarter, we get kind of easy. Like it's just easy, right? It just kind of happens automatically. Every year, something like we get better at something. But you get to a point in your life where it stops happening automatically, and you have to kind of do something to keep it going. Like, and that's the trap, right? Like that's where our growth gets trapped, because we don't necessarily. Like, can you name a time in your life where you feel like you got to that point where it kind of stopped happening automatically for you, whether it was fighting or whatever else, and you had to kind of force yourself through some growth?
Oh yeah, I mean, probably pretty recently, I think. Probably it kind of coincided with my fighting, So I think that was probably the time period. And yeah, it was just a change in mindset. I had to really focus on that. Like you said, it would come to you naturally. And now It's like another thing you have to focus on for sure. That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, because and I see that too, because you kind of had to switch gears. All right, what do I want to do? What do I kind of want to do next? I want to do something. So it's like, and that's where it's not so easy. And I know that you've trained your ass off your whole life, but you have some natural ability, obviously, that, you know what I mean? Like that made it, it made it easy to be motivated to get better at it. Cause you're like, I'm good at this. I can really do this. You know what I mean? Like, but what about as far as, like, you know, like you had the stem cell treatment on your knee, which is interesting, by the way. I'm really interested in all that. Where did you go to have that?
Medellin, Colombia.
You had to leave the country, right? Because it's easier to leave the country to do it. Did you? Was it a stay afterwards? Like, what was it? Just shots? Like, how did it work?
Yeah, so it's not approved by the FDA. The technology that they use, they have to go to Colombia, but it's supposed to be the most potent, the highest consistency of stem cells per injection. They injected both of my knees, and it was BioAccelerator in Medellin, Colombia is an incredible place. People are like, Colombia, you know, the drug cartel, and be careful down there. I go down there, beautiful. It's the most beautiful, safest place. I'm like, that might be the next hotspot for real estate, because people have this stigma of
what it is. You're right, and it's beautiful. I was there like 5 years ago. You're right, it's beautiful, and the medical care there is unbelievable, and it's not crazy expensive either there.
No. I mean, from what it seemed reasonable, and everything was state of the art. We were in a state of the art facility, state of the art. It was connected to a mall, and the mall was one of the biggest, nicest malls. I mean, obviously in Colombia, there are probably places you don't still want to go.
Like, of course, like anywhere else.
But I mean, it was just the treatment there was incredible. It was a once in a lifetime experience.
How do you feel afterwards?
I feel good, man. I feel good. I feel they had a tough task ahead of them. My knees are shot. I had 3 knee surgeries on this one. I tore my PCL in the other one. I just tore my ACL in the other. It's like it was a mess. CL, ACL, you put a CL on it, I've torn it. So they had an uphill battle, but I have been feeling better. I've been feeling, you know, it's not like cured, but and I think a lot of the injuries, it depends on what injury you have, but I think a lot of these injuries, you go there and it heals it like 100%. For me, it was more of the swelling. My knee would swell up, and when I would work out hard for a week straight, 2 weeks straight, even sometimes just a couple of days really hard, it would swell up. And that hasn't been happening half as much now.
So you're better quality of life at the very least.
100%. I mean, that's what it is at this point. I just want to be able to walk up the stairs and not be aching, you know.
So. I'm sure you got to a point. I mean, anybody who's an athlete for a long period of time get to a point where everything hurts. So I'm sure you just don't want to be hurt like that anymore. Like, you want to be normal.
And they're still working on the technology. They're still doing some great things down there. So
do you have to go back? Do you have to go back for that, or is it just a one-time thing?
I think I got to go back. No matter what, Colombia is nice. It's nice. But yeah, I should go back. They said I'm about 5 months, 4 or 5 months now. Okay. So a couple more months. 6 months is kind of like the timetable for full recovery. And then maybe 6 months after that, think about going back again, doing it again.
That's awesome, dude. So I'm gonna wrap up with just a couple of quick things. What do you think your tipping point was? Like, where do you think for you over the last year or two, because there's a lot of changes, right? Like, what do you think the tipping point was? Like, all right, I'm set. This is what I'm gonna do next. Like, I'm gonna stay around the sport. I'm gonna work on real estate. Like, was there something specific that happened, or it was just like you kind of were working towards that over the last few years?
Yeah, I think it's just a natural progression.
Yeah.
It's just a natural progression. I've been selling real estate for the last 6 years, and it's been bouncing back and forth between doing that. I got my feet wet, and I learned the business and I feel confident. I feel very confident now that I can. I was using my broker a lot, asking him a lot of questions. I was always doing the job that I needed to do, but it took me a little bit long. I had a lot of help going on listing appointments. In the beginning, you bring in my broker with me, stuff like that. But now it's like, I know what I'm doing. I've known what I'm doing for a long time. And now I can really scale the business and
full speed,
focus on it. But I also stay in the gym, and that, I guess, fills a void that would be there if I wasn't, going there is just like, it's home to me,
Yeah.
So,
And that kind of leads me to the next question. Like, I saw you speak on stage, and I know you're doing that a little bit more now, and you have the real estate and you're commentating. Is your goal to mentor more people, to kind of show people the way that you've kind of done it? Because you're a success story in that world. You know what I mean? Like, not only just fighting, but somebody who kind of got out with all the faculties, that has another career going. Like, is part of what your goal is to get on more stage and speak to people and kind of mentor people within your own world?
Definitely. I think it's challenging for me to do that. Public speaking is something that's super challenging. And I think I do have a good story to tell that people from a real estate or mortgage lending background might not be exposed to. I've learned things from coaches that I take into everyday life. And although I learned it in sports, I use it every single day for anything that I do. And if I can teach somebody a thing or two that can help them, or not even teach them, just kind of tell them my story, and if they adopt any of the principles that I have, it would be incredible. And it helps me, like even here talking to you, it helps me get my thoughts together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Conversation, getting up and getting out of your comfort zone, I think is great. So doing that, and then meeting all the people, everybody at the conference was awesome. We had so many good conversations, from the dinner the night before to the intermissions, the breaks between speakers, listening to all those speakers, just being in that environment. It's a recipe for success. So I really appreciate it. It was a great time.
Yeah. And you killed it, man. I know it's new to you, but you did really good, because I think that that is what it is. It's storytelling, and you have great stories. Like, and I think just a matter of getting up and telling your story is enough to motivate people. So you were definitely somebody I got a lot of great feedback on. So, I think that even though you're new to it, you're doing great with it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Put in a little bit of work for that.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was really, really fun. And I can't thank you enough, man.
No, it's awesome, Jordan. Thanks for coming on here. I appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll be seeing more of you soon, whether it's through real estate or through our mutual friends. And Frank, I have a meeting with Frank in like 5 minutes. So I'm going to tell him you were on.
Definitely tell him I said what's up.
All right. Thanks again, Al. I appreciate it, man. All right.
Cheers, brother.